How to invest $10,000. $10,000 is undoubtedly a lot of money, but I have a question for you. If I were to give you this much money today, what will you do with it? Will you book for yourself a luxurious vacation in the Bahamas? Or are you thinking of buying an expensive watch or bag? Or maybe you're thinking of upgrading the car you're currently driving for a much better one. Whatever it is, I'm sure it's quite pricey. I'm actually quite interested, so comment below what you would do with it if someone handed you $10,000 today. If you were planning on spending all that money doing something like I mentioned before, like going on vacation or buying new things, then let me enlighten you on what I think is the best use of all that money. Instead of squandering all that money on fancy new things and consumer products that we all know will only satisfy you for a short while, you should instead consider investing the money. And so, in today's video, I'm going to share with you places where you can invest $10,000. First of all, $10,000 is a large amount of money that could potentially grow even bigger or make a huge difference in a person's life in the future, if invested wisely. So let's not mess this up. So first, let's start with one of the most boring, but practical and probably the safest option on where to invest the money. That would be on setting up an emergency fund. And yeah, I know, setting up an emergency fund is no fun, but it could potentially be a lifesaver, especially in bad economic seasons. Emergency funds are the savings you have in case of a rainy day, or if things go seriously wrong and you need some quick money. Usually a safe bet is to keep somewhere between 3 to 6 months equivalent of your current expenditures. In case you lose your job or your business shuts down, this money will be used, instead of you getting loans and going into debt. Remember, paying high interest rates on your loans is very crippling and can financially strangle any person. So, having an emergency fund on the sidelines could act as an insurance policy and could potentially save you a lot of money should an emergency happen. Ideally, you would want to keep the fund as liquid as possible. I will recommend that you keep it in a savings account or invest in short-term treasury bills that mature every 3 months. Again, to reiterate, the point is to keep the money as liquid as possible so that you can convert it into cash at a moment's notice. Another interesting thing that you could do with the $10,000 is to pay any high-interest debt that you currently have. For instance, you may have an outstanding credit card loan with a yearly interest rate of 20%. You should consider paying this as soon as possible. The way you make money on this is that a high-interest-bearing debt is costing you money, and if you pay it off, you will save that money. Of course, not all debt is bad. If you've taken out a mortgage for your home at just 1%, that is actually a pretty good deal. You aren't paying that much in interest, and yet you are successfully creating a future asset for yourself. Kudos to you. Once you've set up an emergency fund for yourself and paid off that high-bearing debt, now you can think of investing it in your retirement accounts. We will be going over 3 main retirement accounts: the Roth IRA, the 401k, and the HSA. The Roth IRA is the account in which you can make after-tax contributions and then let it grow until you reach the age of 59 and a half. The advantage of this account is that it will grow completely tax-free. You can contribute $6,000 if you're less than 50 years old and $7,000 if you're above 50. So, if you've invested $1,000 and it grows to $10,000 by the time you reach 59 and a half years old, that $9,000 profit would be completely tax-free. The 401k, on the other hand, is a more traditional retirement account. Contributions that you make every period in it is completely tax-free, but once you retire and go to cash your savings, you will be liable to pay taxes on the entire amount. I don't really like the 401k all that much because you tend to pay more tax right in the end, and on a larger sum of capital as compared to the Roth IRA. The only situation in which I would prefer the 401k over the Roth IRA is when your contribution in the 401k is matched by your employer. That means if you invested $10,000 a year in your 401k, your employer would make the same contribution in your account as well. However, there is a maximum contribution limit that your employer will specify. Any investment that you make over this limit will not be matched by your employer, so keep that in mind.